I guess I wanted to find out, how did you two, or why did the two of you start in real estate? What gave you the inspiration, or what made you go into real estate?
Sure, that's a great question. I'll start, and then Quincy will give you his story too. I've always had an inkling for real estate back even before the Great Recession of 2008. I didn't know why. I think more so than anything, it was a very natural fondness for real estate because my parents were into real estate. They had bought different properties around South Florida, and then in Gainesville, they had invested in a villa. In Atlanta, they had invested in a townhouse, and then they bought land in northeastern Atlanta. So I grew up seeing my parents make these investments, did not connect the dots about generational wealth or the potential yet. I was very young. And I fast forward to past 2008, I got the job and an opportunity to work for a commercial property tax consulting firm. And I was doing marketing for them, talking to CEOs and talking to CFOs for major REITs and development companies, and realizing that I wanted to not just talk the lingo, I wanted to understand the lingo. Mm-hmm. So I decided to go back to school to study real estate development because, and I should say this, not many people in the real estate community look like us. Just saying. Okay. So I wanted to be, more than just a pretty face. I wanted to really understand the numbers and, what's going on in the market and the major players. So I got my master's in real estate. And then after I graduated, I got my license as a real estate agent because I realized that it makes sense if I'm going to know real estate to actually help with the sale and the transaction as well to make money. Now, more than anything, though, I feel like real estate is a major vehicle for generational wealth, as I'm sure you guys do as well. And one of the things that I'm bringing to the table for my own family is getting them involved in the investment side, getting them back involved in the investment side. They were involved, but they sold a lot of their assets over the years. So now I'm getting them back involved in that. So that's my story. That's why I got involved in real estate.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Welcome. As for me, I was sort of similar story again. I was around real estate. I have two uncles that was always investing in real estate when I was a kid, but same thing as Gayon, I couldn't really connect the dots. I knew they was doing something and I knew they made a lot of money, but for a kid, it was just like, what could you buy me? I wasn't concerned with the business side. So fast forward, I'm 21, 22 out on my own, and I was wanting to buy a house. I just had an urge to just want to be a homeowner. And I bought a house, found a house in an area that was new developing in North Carolina. And I bought it. It was a great price on the house. I think maybe I bought it for about 60 grand. And I got to the closing table, and the lawyer pulled out the comps on the property. So the comps show like whatever the property is worth. So he pulled out the comps on the property, and the property was worth like 93 grand. So he just jokingly said to me, hey, you can put this back on the market and make 30 grand. So 21, 22, I stopped and looked, and I was like, is it really that easy? And everybody was laughing. It was like, yeah, it's just that easy. So that sparked my interest in saying, well, if this is that easy, then I need to start learning how to do this. So I went from there, and like your parents, I had owned up to 10 homes at one time. Got into it, real estate, as far as flipping, wanted to learn that. And almost every aspect of real estate, I either tried it or figured out that it wasn't my thing, and kind of narrowed my niche down. I was a realtor for about a year or two in North Carolina and Virginia, because those were the states I was primarily operating business in, and I just didn't want to pay anybody to look up properties for me. So I could just become a realtor, and I could look up my own properties, save 3%. So it was all about, for me, saving something on the bottom line. Okay. Then when they start put these requirements on you to go to meetings and get certifications and all that, I was like, well, I'll just pay the 3% because I don't want to go through all of that. Yeah, I didn't. I was like, I can't. But yeah, that's how I got started, and kind of have moved forward, trying to narrow down because um, I know you guys going to probably have a ton of questions, but for me, um, real estate is about finding wherever your niche is. Because when I think about real estate, it's a lot. Most
Yeah.
people think it's buying and selling a home, but it is a ton of things that you can do in real estate. And some of the people I've seen that was brilliant guys and brilliant girls that came in smart, educated, come into real estate, they kind of fizzle out because there's
Right.
so much you can do in real estate, and then you spread yourself too thin, and then they say, well, I came into real estate, it doesn't work, I didn't make money in it, so they become a little bit sour about the opportunity. But you have to find out
And focus.
what's your niche, what you're going to focus on, and why you're buying or why you're in the real estate game, and then you can get there and be successful.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you. Now, also, I forgot to mention to you guys, we're babysitting. So if I go off for a few minutes at a time, it's because our granddaughter is right here. I thought she was going to sleep through this, but unfortunately, she just woke up. So we're
No worries.
Grandma for the first
Fantastic.
time, so.
That's good real estate quality multitasking.
So I have a question, Quincy. It sounds like, just to talk a little bit more about your story, it sounds like you've gone from like flipping to now multifamily, and you've just discovered that multifamily is maybe where it's at for you, or how, can you talk about the things that you've narrowed down for yourself thus so far?
Yeah, so when I came in, I like buying that house, getting the appraisal and saying, hey, it's worth 30 grand more than it is, and sell it. So I wanted to do that. That's initially what I wanted to do because it seemed like the most plausible thing. So that led me to flipping. And then as I got into flipping and I'm learning, I'm going to the courts and I'm seeing people, I got into going to the courthouse steps and auctioning on property. So I was meeting people that was lending money, that was and then so I read Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Just about to
like
mention that.
like
Yes.
most everybody, and I was like, oh, okay, cash flow is where's that. So I started saying, okay, now I'm gonna not flip as much. I'll just get the single families, and I'll flip one and flip two, flip three, and on the third one I'll have enough cash to buy a rental. So that was like my business plan in a sense without having a business plan. Buy a house, flip it, buy a house, flip it, buy a house, flip it, fourth one, buy the house, rent it. Um, so I did that, and then throughout the time of flipping, you start learning about tax sales and foreclosures, and in that time of 2008 and 9, that's when I like incorporated and started really getting into business. And houses were cheap, 20, 30, 40 grand in North Carolina. So it was really easy to get in and out of the house without a lot of money. Um, Fast forward to meeting Gayon and going through the MSRED program. I just was sitting in class and had an aha moment. I was like, man, I got 10 houses, and the debt that I have on the 10 houses, if I could have bought one apartment complex for less debt and had a better cash flow. So I immediately just started to switch my mindset and say, okay, I just stopped doing single family just completely and started looking extensively at single family homes. And then from the single family, I mean, no, the multifamily, from the multifamily homes, we got into the development. Like one of my uncles is a partner of mine now, and we're buying raw land and developing single family communities, or we're buying a lot here and we build a house, sell it, buy another lot, because that was for me more profit on the bottom line than flipping. So and then it's a lot easier than you think it was. So that was some of the things that kind of drove me to get away from single family, just renovations and flipping contracts and things like that.
Now I have a question as far as with the finance. If you're not one that doesn't really like debt, what do you think about cash flowing your own if you can, or versus taking out a loan and the debt that's involved?
Personally, I think I try to leverage my cash over 4 or 5 different projects. So if I got 100 grand, just for example, if I got 100 grand, I'm not going to buy a lot of land, build a property, and get the equipment and pay the contractors with the 100 grand. If I can do that with 20 grand and leverage 80, and then I can do that over 3 lots, then I can leverage that 100 grand over 3 lots instead of 1 lot of going all the way in. Simply because if I lose, if I go in a bad deal, none of us going to go in the real estate and try to go into a bad deal. But things happen. Contractors happen.
Right.
And just bad things happen. Timing happens. COVID happens. There was some people out that had some deals out there that were great before COVID, and then COVID hit, and now their deals are bottom out. So, but for me, I like to try to leverage my income over several different deals, because if one go bad, then I still got money in the bank, and then I got 2 more projects that I'm looking at working on. I got money tied up in it. That's to me is the best way.
I think so too, because I feel like using other people's money work for you.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, if you're using your money, then something wrong there.
Yes. Because like for instance, when I tell you my uncle is my partner, like he takes me through, because he's real estate. He's been in it 35 years doing it. He understands it in and out. But for the multifamily deal, he don't get it. He's just been doing development for single family renovations his entire career. So when I brought the multifamily ideal to him, and I pitch my deals to him, he doesn't get it. It's like his brain shut off. He don't understand it. And he's like very hesitant to go in on the multifamily deal with me. But I can bring him a lot and say, hey, look, this is the lot. Here's the contractor. Here's the inspection. Here's what we need up front. Here's the bottom line. And he's all in. Okay, let's do it. But